Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the LOCO Podcast, brought to you by Tiger Wave Network. This is my co-host, Connor Cook, and
What up?
I'm your other co-host, Logan Moore, on this beautiful Wednesday morning. It's October 14th, 2020, and Connor, how's the middle of your week going?
Middle of my week. I feel like something happened. I don't know. I watched some horror movies this weekend.
What movie? Which one?
I watched two for the first time that I should have seen already. I watched Scream and I watched Beetlejuice.
Man. Beetlejuice is great, isn't it?
I actually like Scream more. I don't know if that's controversial.
Wow. That's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I bet it
But
was controversial.
It was more up my alley. I mean,
Beetlejuice is kind of old. It's a little goofy,
so
probably
Scream.
too.
I'm fine with Goofy. It was just not enough Beetlejuice in that movie, if you ask me. It's called Beetlejuice. There's not enough
you
Beetlejuice.
think that it should have been even more Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
I can see that.
So that was my concern. But so I'm getting into the Halloween season.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be for Halloween?
What am I going to... Oh, man. I didn't even really think about Halloween. I guess I was thinking earlier this year I should go as Jim Morrison from The Doors because I got the hair growing out, so I could do like a Jim Morrison thing, but I'm not sure.
Because everybody would get that. Yeah, they'd be like, oh, look, it's Jim Morrison.
I think that I could make the costume make sense. I think I could.
Yeah, I was going to go as a musician, too. I was just going to go as Robert Smith from The Cure. You know who that is?
No?
I know
who The Cure is, but I'm not familiar with their band members.
He's like Goth Daddy #1, right? So he's got so I just put on my mom's makeup and mess up my hair and be like, yo, I'm Robert Smith. Mm-hmm. And then I could be like, Friday the 13th, I'm in love.
So how many weeks do we have here until Halloween? We've got 2 weeks, it looks like.
Yeah, about. It's already, October's going by fast.
Everybody have a fantastic Halloween when it comes around, but we do just really hope that social distancing is followed. And we know that Halloween's going to look a lot different this year for a lot of people. Don't let that ruin it for you. But don't be the person that goes out and starts spreading germs because you want to have a good Halloween, you know?
And don't eat any razor blades.
On that note, we should get into State of the Drip here because I have something to tell you all about. We now welcome you to the State of the Drip. Stated confirmed active cases of COVID-19 in Hays County as of yesterday.
No.
There are 889 confirmed active cases and 6,084 total cases in Hays County, of which 5,140 people recovered and 55 died with COVID-19 related symptoms. Now, the breakdown of that, though, is that as of yesterday in Austin, there were only 8 cases that are reported. Now, of course, there's the limitation of the fact that you don't always know who's infected and who's sick. So, of course, that number is subject to change. But Austin, fairly low in that regard comparatively to a place like Buda, which has 154 active cases right now. Or even worse, Kyle at 507 cases. But yeah, total, it breaks down to about 889 active cases right now in Hays County. That's not good.
Not good. That's one way to put it.
But, you know, the hospitalizations have only, out of 400 people, we're only 8 in one tally. So luckily, we're not seeing probably the worst health impact that you could see, but it still needs to be under control. There's been 36,814 tests administered, and 30,730 of those people tested negative, whereas the 6,084 that I mentioned earlier tested positive. By race, 61.1% of county residents who have had COVID-19 are white, 36.1% are unknown or not specified, 2.2% are black, and 0.6% are Asian. You know, that I'm not sure how that breaks down along how Hays County is. I'm not sure what the numbers are in terms of how many minorities we have here, if that's disproportionately affecting white people or if that is a number that makes sense given
Sounds about right.
White people that we have here.
It's a lot of white people.
But I need to look into that further. But that's what I've got for you on the COVID check today. We've still got cases. COVID is not over, and don't let anyone tell you that it is, because we still are tackling this, and people are still being hurt by it.
Yup. Here's some more positive news for you. The Dripping Springs Fair and Rodeo, which was canceled over the summer, is now going to occur from October 16th to 17th at the Dripping Springs Ranch Park. It will start at 8 p.m. both nights, and tickets are $15 for adults and $10 for children under 12. Purchase them online at dsagboosters.org, and masks will be required and social distancing will be occurring. However, I personally would not go to that, but do as you please, I guess.
Yeah.
But Logan just told you the numbers, so go at your own risk.
Here's the thing. We're going to get into Ashes of Alexandria because, frankly, this one's, it's not a long one, but I find it really interesting. It's actually, I picked it because I find it so interesting. I've been reading a lot about Ben Franklin in the past, week, just some of his autobiography, because he's he's kind of an idol for me. He was a Renaissance man of the revolutionary times. He was an inventor. He kind of built the system that we still use today, and he never even had to have the responsibility of the presidency. He was so smart that he got all of the notoriety without ever having any of the responsibility for it going bad.
That's one way to put it.
So one of the things that he created, and he actually
hold up.
Yes.
Well, this is what I know about Ben Franklin. I don't know if you're gonna mention this or not, but they found bodies under his house or something.
Oh,
is that what you're getting to?
That.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, look into that.
I know that he owned only 2 slaves in his lifetime. They were household servants, and he did release them and changed his views on slavery by the time that he died. So I think we can rule out that they were, because that would be horrible if they were slave bodies, but it would be horrible if they were any bodies. I hope that he didn't have bodies under his house.
Well, it was like he was probably experimenting on people, because he was like a mad scientist type. Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
He was a little bit. So I believe that he claims that this is his favorite invention. Do you know of the practice where you can take a glass and wet your finger and run it along the side of the glass and it'll resonate a sound?
I was not aware of that.
Well, you can take water on your finger. Here, okay, so let me find you a video so that you can...
Don't you have a glass of water with you right now?
Well, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not skilled in the musicianship. Here, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to share this for you. Right here. You hear that?
I'm looking at it. Let's see it.
All right. I got to share audio.
Oh.
You see? So that's the idea, is that you... Sorry for the uncomfortableness. Apparently you don't like the crystal singing bowls.
No, not really.
The idea is that they resonate a frequency when you wet the edge and run something around it. And it has been used in classical music before. They actually used to use them to tune, and singers used to try to match the resonance. And so that's not the invention, though. The invention that Benjamin Franklin came up with was kind of like the electrical guitar version of that. It's very, very interesting. So he took all of these glass bowls and aligned them in an almost piano-shaped form, where they would be rotating with water already on. You wet your fingers, and then you just place your hands on it like a piano, and they rotate underneath you. So I've got a demonstration and a picture here to show you. So here is what the glass harmonica looked like. You see all of these bowls lined up, and this wheel would spin them, and you put your fingers on those brass. You see, here's a picture of somebody playing it.
That's like about as indie as you can get with music.
Yeah, so I've got a video demonstration. Let me make sure it's not too loud.
Yeah, I like glass harmonica.
Voila, one of Franklin's favorite inventions. So
There you go.
So here's a little bit from the Lucia.
So you see he's wetting it right now with his hands. And so Beethoven actually included this instrument in some of his music. He was so, and in fact, many classical musicians did. It was popular music for a time. It did not retain its popularity forever, though. It quickly faded into obscurity, but it was one of Franklin's most favorite inventions that he made. And I find that very interesting.
Kind of slaps. Makes some good noise.
I realized that was not enough for Ashes of Alexandria. You need more of a story than that. So I thought, well, surely he's not the only founding father that had weird things going on. And he wasn't. Thomas Jefferson was an early archaeologist. In fact, he had the bones of a mastodon, an animal from 40 million years ago that looked a little bit like an elephant, sent to him at the White House. He laid the 40 million year old bones out in what is now known as the East Room in an attempt to build a skeleton. He was because he'd been an explorer, adventurer as a kid. He was very interested and curious, and he found a love for archaeology. And he liked the mastodon. Let me show you a picture of a mastodon.
Shouldn't he have been presidenting instead of building skeletons?
Well, back then things moved slowly. So here's what a mastodon looks like. But
it's kind of dummy thick.
The bones, when laid out, would have looked something like this. Although I'm assuming he did not have all of the bones. This is actually in the White House garden, I believe. No, maybe.
Is that the one that he made?
It's in the Thomas Jefferson garden. I'm not sure if it's the one that he made. Well, I think this one might be, though. Regardless,
wow,
our founding fathers were building dinosaurs in the White House. That's what they... Well, I guess that's not a dinosaur, but an ancient animal.
I really want to make a pun out of that.
He's not the only founding father that had notoriety because of his weird life. Because Washington survived a lot of life-threatening situations that he should not have survived, including at various points having tuberculosis, smallpox, malaria, dysentery, carbuncle, and pneumonia. He survived near drowning in an ice-clogged river. He survived the burning and massacre of Fort Necessity. He survived 2 horses being shot out from under him and 4 bullets passing close enough to pierce his clothes, all in one battle.
I'm not a big fan of George Washington, but that's impressive.
Now, unfortunately, what killed him was actually the cold, and it was a bacterial infection at the back of his throat. No. I mean, like, literally the cold.
Like just there's something called just the cold.
Well, no, he went out in
the cold,
and he got a bacterial infection in the back of his throat that would have been easily treated today, but of course not easily treated back then. And while he lay dying, his doctors effectively tortured him, burning him to remove the sickness and draining him of a full 40% of his blood. Despite this, Washington was fearful of being buried alive, and he was convinced that others were at the time. And he directed that his body not be buried for 3 days after his death, just in case. And that is just...
Vampires?
The idea of losing 40% of your blood is horrifying to me.
That is terrible. That is nasty.
Connor, what's up with your George Washington beef?
Oh, well, didn't he have, like, slaves or something?
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't... great for being the first president and all, but I don't have to like all presidents, so
you don't.
I respect what he did for the country, but I also don't like him because he had slaves.
I think that you always have to look at the context of the history, because I love Abraham Lincoln, and he freed the slaves, but he also genocided the most Native Americans out of any president ever. and not many
Yikes.
people. So history's very complicated, and it's
It is.
rarely he was good or he was bad. People
Yeah.
make decisions, and those decisions can be good and bad. So, this is one of the things I think about Ben Franklin. I think he was a genius in his own right, and the man still owned slaves when he was younger, and he learned not to because he realized that it was inhumane and horrible, and all of the things that we despise it for. But I mean,
I just had a realization.
yeah.
Can you look up if Ben Franklin was ever in London, or like
Okay.
if he did any research there?
Yeah, I know that he was.
I know he did some traveling.
He was the. I believe that he was the ambassador to France, but
So he was in Europe.
London. I don't know about London though. I know that he would go and just party in France. He had first visited London as a teenage printer in the mid 1720s and stayed for 18 months. Okay. So he went to London, and then he returned in 1757 to London as the most famous American in the world. So he was a little bit different the second time he went. He was
now look up Jack the Ripper's time period of killings, please.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, I'm getting at here.
Active killing years.
I don't mean to make this conspiracy corner, but I feel like the body's under his.
From
under
August
his
7th
place.
to September 10th in 1888.
Damn it!
About 150 years later.
Unless Ben Franklin had an experiment that kept him alive forever.
Unless he did. So
okay, I was just wondering if maybe there's a correlation there. I don't know.
Well, that's just kind of what I've got for you today is just, our founding fathers were unique humans just like we are. They had flaws, they had loves, they had, George Washington's his wife was actually I don't know if he married her. I believe he did. Was Sally Washington his wife?
Well, if her last name's Washington, I'd hope so.
Oh, no. Okay. Yes. No?
Yes,
well,
no, maybe.
Yeah, okay. They never did marry. Sally Fairfax was her name, and it was the wife of his best friend. And right before they got married, George Washington sent her a letter saying, hey, look, don't tell anybody, but I love you, and don't get married. But then apparently they never got together, so.
Oh, that's sad.
But my point being, these men were people just like we are, and I think that actually we are far more advanced than they are because we never even owned slaves, Connor. I don't know if you know this, but I've never had a slave, and I don't have any want to have a slave. So if you ask me, I think that we can accomplish great things.
Without slaves.
Going forward, the next 20 years, I think what everybody should remember is that we're going to do amazing things because we're like these guys, but we already know not to do the things that they did. Some
people have not learned that lesson, but yeah, mostly.
That's true. But I think a lot of us, it's a minority of people that are so close-minded that they view somebody differently because of the color of their skin or their race or their sexual orientation.
Or gender.
I truly believe that the majority of people just couldn't care less, especially in our generation. I mean, I just, the idea to me that you could actually care. I don't know.
Care, but hold on, you should probably clarify what you're saying.
What I'm saying is it just doesn't matter to me what you are because it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any kind of difference to me. And I'm not,
Preach. Take me to church, man.
Well,
Amen.
And it's common sense. It
really is.
It really is.
But so we've learned a valuable lesson here today.
Yes, it was a conspiracy, or not a conspiracy corner. Ashes of Alexandria paired with a little bit of a moral, a little bit of an Aesop's fable. That being said, I've been reading some Plato and some Aristotle along with my Benjamin Franklin because they were so into the ancient Greeks. Well, you'll appreciate this because I actually learn a lot of this watching Ancient Aliens.
Oh.
The founding fathers, a lot of them were Freemasons, including George Washington and Ben Franklin. and I think Thomas Jefferson too. And they based most of the founding of our country on what the Greek philosophers had written about. So I've been doing a lot of reading about the Greek philosophers to try and figure out where we're at today in our country, because I think that it's extremely relevant. And one quote that I wanted to leave everybody with, if I can remember it, especially with the Justice Amy Coney Barrett hearings going on at the moment. Plato once said, or it might have been Aristotle, so you gotta look it up. Let the true man speak true, and the judge decide justly. And I'm not going to elaborate any further on it. That's just a quote to sit on, think about, and reflect on.
Very wise, very wise.
You got any musings for us, Connor?
Yeah, I guess so. Let me think of what I want to do today. I've got like 3 things I've been listening to. What are you feeling like today, Logan? Maybe I'll base it off of that.
Well, actually, I was going to go with some Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah, because I was just listening to them this morning. It's been a while since I've really dug into it. It's always been an acquired thing for me because I love funky stuff. I've always been into funk, and especially a more R&B funk, Parliament, and just it's that stuff. I like bass. My dad plays bass. It's just I'm a huge fan of it. But Red Hot Chili Peppers, my only problem is that his voice wears on me sometimes. Personally, it's a personal thing. I can't listen to him for 3 days straight. It's just too much for me. But that being said, they did make one of the best albums of the 90s, and I want to promote it today, but I must warn you, it's explicit in nature. So if you are somebody that is not supposed to be listening to albums with the little E next to the title, don't even bother with it.
Explicit. Wait, that's what
it's called Suck My Kiss. Well, that's
sorry,
that's
I'm very immature.
Or no, that's not the album name. It's Blood Sugar Sex Magic, right?
Yeah, that's I'm a Chili Peppers fan myself, so yeah.
So obviously that's an explicit album, although I think that if you are into funk, and obviously it's old enough, I don't really feel too controversial talking about it. I mean, it was released in 1991. So
Chili Peppers has been around that long?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Flea's a really good bass player. He's awesome.
He is an innovator bass player.
Yes,
he changed the game.
Who's better, Geddy Lee or Flea? Geddy Flea. That would be awesome.
Well, that's difficult because I think that they're different in a lot of ways, because I think that Geddy Lee's a better songwriter than Flea, but I think that Flea probably did more like new stuff on the bass that had never been done before.
Yeah.
Like Geddy Lee is such a fantastic writer. He doesn't just write the bass, he writes the songs, the lyrics, sings, and plays bass at the same time. That's all really difficult. But just the pure innovation from Red Hot Chili Peppers when it comes to the sound that the bass can make, I mean, it's pretty unrivaled.
Pretty sure Neil Peart wrote a lot of the songs for Rush, though. Rest in peace.
Well, so they all, interesting story actually, because I'm a huge Rush nerd. They used to, when all of these, they'd be out on tour and they'd be with, whoever was opening up for them. The opening act would go party, go down to the lobby to party with everybody else after the shows. And Rush, the 3 of them, Alex Lifeson, Neil Peart, and Geddy Lee, would all just sit in their rooms, and they wouldn't partake in heavy drug use or drinking. They would just sit down and read and write. They were like, they were total nerds. Yeah, they were total nerds. So Neil Peart, I think he did write a lot of the lyrics, but they were all like huge book nerds that just wanted to like write poetry all day. Which I kind of respect, because I think that at the time it wasn't very cool to do that. Like all of the rock stars were just going and partying, and frankly, a lot of the music that came out at that time wasn't super thought-provoking, So they took it to like a new cerebral level.
Well, that kind of plays with what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about what I believe is basically the perfect album. And that would be 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge by Now, there's a stigma around this. Do you know who this is by?
Tell me.
My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
One of my favorite bands.
That's what I thought.
Okay. They're basically nerds too.
Let me say, I've listened to My Chemical Romance before. I haven't recently. I'm not going to say that I hate them because I've enjoyed them before. I haven't enjoyed them recently, but clearly there was something there since I was able to enjoy it before, so I'm not going to hate on it.
Dude, I think you and Ray Toro would be best friends. He is absolutely a shredder. He's My Chemical Romance's lead guitar player.
I do remember that there were a couple songs that I thought were really I thought the guitar was super cool.
I mean, they absolutely shred. Now, Rolling Stone made Welcome to the Black Parade. They made that number 356, I believe, on the best albums of all time record, but Three Cheers is better, in my opinion. I think most people in the fandom would agree. Not that I'm in the fandom. I'm not a fangirl. So I want to cover the stigma around My Chemical Romance because everybody thinks they're like Satanists and devil worshippers and all this edgy,
they're just angsty.
They're barely angsty anyways, dude.
Oh, that's ridiculous. They are pretty angsty, but
it's basically
okay.
just Gerard Way. I mean, they're pretty angsty, but
they're super angsty. But
you gotta express yourself, dude.
It was a time period where everybody was angsty. So
they're basically nerds too. They don't party or anything. They just go back to their hotel and drink soda and play video games.
Yeah,
quote Mikey Way.
The part that was hard for me, I think, was just the makeup and the costumes because that's never been my thing. It's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of Kiss because usually the rock acts that I like don't need to do that stuff. But in the case of My Chemical Romance, I understand that it's kind of part of their thing.
Yeah, it's kind of their whole aesthetic.
Yeah. So I get it.
Well, here's the thing. What was I gonna say? God, what was I gonna say? With Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, I don't remember what I was gonna say. But it's a very good. You know what they do to guys like us in prison is what probably my favorite off of that album. Helena has a lot of emotion. I'm Not Okay. I Promise. Very good. But those are just mostly the very famous ones. I feel like I had more to say. We should probably. Can we listen to one of the songs real quick?
No,
just
we can't.
Come on, please. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I remember what I was gonna say. Okay, this is controversial. This is my opinion. It might be a little controversial, and that is that MCR is punk rock. Okay, because what did they do? They pissed people off, and they made mothers scared. Okay, if you ask me, that's pretty. I mean, basically.
What about making good music?
They make really good music. They're one in my top 10, bro. That's how you know they're good because they're in my top 10 personally.
Yeah. It's like Blink-182, Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth is not in my top 10, bro. Don't put words in my mouth. But like, I think they're like the second coming of the Misfits, okay? Which is a
second coming of the Misfits. Does anyone remember the first coming?
Yeah, who doesn't like the Misfits?
I'm just
I got
kidding.
a Misfits flag over there.
It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm a comedian now.
Yeah, you are. Ha ha ha. But I do believe that they are the second coming of the Misfits. With their whole, I think it's basically like horror punk. Okay, well, sometimes I say horror punk.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, you said it that time.
Yeah. So they kept the Misfit spirit alive, if you ask me, and that's pretty cool. You know, they've inspired a lot of people. They actually have some good bass riffs too, but
very epic.
Very epic. Go listen to it. I got a lot to say about that.
Connor, 9:33. You know what that means?
It's kind of been a short episode.
It has been, but it's.
We could talk a little more until we wrap up. I don't care.
No, it's time to go. We got to keep it short. Stamp on some 30 minutes.
Did she say that?
Mm-hmm. She also said your microphone was tinny.
Oh yeah, well, we'll leave that up to the fans.
But you know what? Everybody's going to have a great week, and it's going to be amazing, and they're going to go get prepped for Halloween. No one said you couldn't go to Halloween. Just do it safely, you know? Go get a costume, you know?
Stay home in your costume, watch some movies.
Maybe finally nobody's going to complain about wearing a mask since it's Halloween and you're going to anyways. Yeah, be safe and have a wonderful, wonderful week. You're going to make the best out of it.
Probably not.
Connor, that's so pessimistic. I hope that you also have an amazing week that you make.
I hope I do. Let me tell everybody a funny story before we wrap up. I have an interview at Jersey Mike's today, and the guy that sent me the text saying I could come interview, his name was Mike, so I got the attention of Jersey Mike himself. So wish me the best of luck.
Mike that wears the jersey.
Yes. So wish me the best of luck, everybody.
You should see if you can like get in with him.
Get in with Jersey Mike himself.
Well, that would be a big deal.
I don't want to work for corporations. I'm not
you
part
wouldn't
of the
be working
system.
for a corporation. You'd be working for the man.
I don't want to work for either. I am the man. I work for myself.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to tell everybody. Work for yourself. Don't be part of the system.
Yeah. All right.
Don't let the man get you.
Connor, thank you for coming on today. Thank you for
thank
being
you.
my guest on this wonderful.
Okay, this is not funny anymore. I'm not your
just
guest.
kidding.
I'm your co-host. I'm sorry. I forgot you were a
Thank you
comedian.
for joining me as my co-host. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Everybody, have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. And take care. Be safe.
Sayonara.
Take your vitamins. Don't contract any illnesses.
Or
Don't
I
give
take
anyone
too many
any illnesses.
vitamins.
Wear your mask inside. Social distance at all times. Follow safety guidelines instructed to you by every private institution that you go to. If they are a private business, they are allowed to enforce whatever rules they see fit. And they are allowed to ask you to leave at any time, even if you don't believe that that is their right. They are, in fact, allowed to. And if you do not exit upon their request, then it is their right to call in law enforcement to remove you for them. So keep that in mind when you want to go be a Karen. Everybody,
Ooh.
goodbye.
And please enjoy your flight. That's what that sounded like.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to finish? Okay, yeah. So we're gearing up to land here. It's
Oh yeah.
what temperature do we got right now? It looks like it is about 72 in Austin, Texas. I can't tell if the sun's out or not. I was gonna look out my
Sun's out, guns out,
I was
baby.
gonna look out my left side window here in the cockpit, but I actually can't see anything. Don't be alarmed though.
It's not a good way to
We're gonna
fly,
land-
bro.
We're gonna land just fine. I can't tell if the sun's out, but it'll be great. You all just have to trust me. In fact, the best people told me that there will be no negative health consequences to this, and that, frankly, it'll be a miracle. We're just going to land, and everybody's going to survive. That's what the science doesn't know, though. I know. I'm just making a little funny about the president.
Oh, yeah. Screw him.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great week.
Sayonara.